Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Hello there, everybody, and good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It is Monday, of course. October in full swing, just how we like it. It has been cold. It's been comfy. You keep the windows open at night. You're self-conscious because you got a lady in the room with you. You know, you wake up, you got a gummy bear hanging off your bladder, right? And the missus is laying there ready for the dickens because it's cold, and she wants to be warmed up. But unfortunately, old Gerald is under construction or under occupation or something. He's incapacitated. He's unable to perform. That's what I think about when I think of October. When I think of October, I think about laying in a bed with a woman and it's too cold to fuck. That's what I think about. It's the beginnings of getting too cold to fuck. And then the body gets used to it and you have a couple more movie nights and then you warm up to it, literally. You warm up to it and now you're back at full mass, baby. Back and ready to go. And you can partake in cuffing season. This was always historically cuffing season. I don't know if it still is. Cuffing, for people that don't know, who I guess live under rocks, for my audience of boomers who don't know what cuffing means, this is the time of year when people get in relationships. They just get in relationships or they get in situationships and they stay in the warm house because it's cold and they fuck like monkeys. They fuck like monkeys on crack. They watch movies. They order pizza, and they get real snuggly. They wear each other's clothes. You know, they go out and they get coffees in the morning, and then they go to a pumpkin patch or some shit. They take some stupid picture, and then they come home and they fuck some more. And everybody's just fucking like monkeys. Everybody's just fucking like animals. That's why so many people are born in the summer, because people get after it. They get after it at this point in time. Nobody's ever born in fucking March. You know why? Because you'd have to be fucking at the end of the summer. You'd have to be fucking later on. You know, you either fuck in the summer or you fuck in the fall. Or you conceive in the summer or you conceive in the fall. And the cold, right? The cold is what brings people together. The cold is what makes you say, come on, young man, shake that off. Shake the cold off at the door. We got heat. Get on in here. That's what the cold is. You see it all the time. You see it in the movies. It brings me, there's like that quintessential holiday movie where there's some guy walking around and he walks past his favorite bar because he's alone, right? He's alone and he walks past his favorite bar and he sees that the regulars are in there and they're having a good time and the barkeep sticks his head out in the freezing cold and he says, hey, come on in, man. It's warm. We'll get you a beer. We got some nice hot soup. It's fresh. It's beef stew. And then you go in, and it's lovely, and everyone has a good time, and you spend your holiday in a drunken stupor. But at least you were warm. You were warm. It was the cold that brought you in. If it was a normal day, you'd just be walking around in your normal miserable self. But now that it's cold, it's even worse. It gives you that longing to be with somebody or to be in some kind of community, especially in the warm. And, that is this time of year. And we're in full swing with it. Now, I have a brand new addiction, guys. Let's see if you can, on video you'll be able to tell, but let's see if you can. God's vagina. Tastes just like it. Yes, I bought a Puff Bar. I am a disgusting scoundrel who has developed a severe nicotine addiction. Yeah. It's funny because I call it a new one, but it's not new. Right? I've been smoking blunts since I started smoking weed. It's been my preferred way to do it. Since I started, right? When we first started in high school, It was still Dutches. You smoked Dutches, Dutch Masters, or you bought a mini vanilla cigarello, the ones by themselves. I don't even think they sell the singular ones anymore. They might. And you buy that, and you hope you don't fuck it up because there's only one. And, you buy that, you break it open, you get all the shit out, you lick it down, and you roll it up, right? You roll it up. And then a little later on, people started moving over to the backwoods. And I was one of the people that was still stuck on Dutches. Me, Chris Oldred. Chris Oldred stuck with Dutches longer than anybody else. My buddy Chris, he was the last of the Mohegans when it came to smoking Dutches. So much so that people wouldn't smoke with him. They'd be like, nah, man, we don't want to smoke that shit. At least roll a joint if you're not going to get backwoods. So from the beginning to about, 3 years in or so, shifted right over to backwoods. Now, backwoods, that's a straight tobacco leaf. Before, you're getting a little leaf, you're getting a little paper, right? It's arguably better to do just the leaf on the backwood. Nonetheless, you don't realize what you're doing, right? When you smoke a cigar, an actual cigar that has the tobacco lined in it, you smoke it and you just puff it. You puff it, you suck it in your mouth, and you let it go. That's the whole part of it. It's relaxing, it's calming. I don't know why, it's weird. It's like a fun thing to do. And I really enjoy tobacco. That's the thing. I really like tobacco. And that one is scary, right? Tobacco's bad. Smoking anything, of course, is bad for your lungs in the long term and probably some other things. But tobacco in particular, you guys got to look up this video of Ozzy Osbourne. And he's just cracked out of his mind, looking into the camera going, please, whatever you do, don't smoke tobacco. And it's a great PSA. It's a perfect PSA because it's coming from somebody who has experience. See, this is the thing with the PSAs. They're kind of still a thing, but they're not. It's a different thing now. Like back when the drug PSAs were around, there would be like a song or a character, and they'd make it real outlandish and real immature. They'd make it real immature. Remember the flat girl, the above the influence commercials, the girl that's all flat, sitting on the couch, like, oh, once she started smoking weed, this is what happened. And as a kid, that scares the shit out of you. I remember being a kid like, oh my God, this is like scary. Like just the scene of it, just how weird it was, how strange it was. And I remember it scaring me as a kid, and it worked as a kid. I would ask my mom, like, man, what is this? What's marijuana? What's weed? She'd say, oh, well, it's a thing, and you don't want to do it, and you move on from there. But it was always real juvenile and almost it was almost insulting when you look back on it, that's what they're doing. Just like, this is your brain on drugs, any questions? Another stupid one, right? The right drugs, there are drugs that will do that, but to say drugs, this is your brain on drugs. I mean, okay, cool. Does that mean all drugs? The legal ones too? The ones you can get in the store? The ones that are FDA approved? Daily recommended dose? Is that what, do those count too? Does your mind get scrambled on those? They should count. And that's the thing. In these PSAs, they don't count. They don't talk about the things that are allowed. And it's coming from a person who most likely didn't experience it, right? It's just an actor or someone that wrote a script. Every once in a while, you get a nice cigarette commercial with a person who's like, don't smoke unless you want to lose your eyesight. Don't smoke unless you want to rot your limbs off. And those ones, okay, all right, at least we're getting someone who was in it, who was involved. That's where I want to hear it. And then you got a guy like Ozzy Osbourne coming on who's notoriously an avid pro-drug guy, right? He does drugs, did drugs. I don't know if he still does, but he's got like Alzheimer's or something, Parkinson's. He's fucked up now, but he did drugs for a very long time. He did acid for like 2 years straight every day. It's just he knows about drugs, and he knows the ones to stay away from. And to hear Ozzy Osbourne, a man who's bitten the head off of a bat, who's drank everybody's spit in the crowd, who's done disgusting things under the influence of many chemicals. To hear him say, don't smoke tobacco, a legal FDA-approved product, don't smoke tobacco. Don't smoke a cigar or a cigarette or don't use chewing tobacco. Don't use it because it's bad. It causes cancer. It's not good. What about heroin, Ozzy? Just don't smoke tobacco. All right, you got it then. No tobacco. And then you got a guy like Keith Richards who'll never tell you not to do anything. He'll never say, no, don't do that. No. He's smoking cigs. Maybe he still does drugs. I don't know if he does. He's like 75, but I'm pretty sure he still smokes cigs. Maybe he still drinks. He gets the blood transfusions. He's making it happen still. And if Keith Richards came on and said, hey, don't do this, I would listen because he has experience with it all. He snorted his dad's ashes, okay? He's done some fucked up shit. And if he said to me, hey, don't eat McDonald's, I would say, cool, I agree. I shouldn't eat McDonald's. Maybe that's the one thing that kept him alive. Maybe the one thing that's keeping Ozzy Osbourne alive is that he stopped smoking tobacco at some point. I don't know. Maybe he didn't do as much tobacco as the other stuff. So do blow for 30 years. Do heroin for 30 years. Just don't smoke tobacco. And I haven't listened to that. I enjoy tobacco. I really do. I really do. I like smoking a cigar. I like smoking a cigarette. And I like smoking weed wrapped in a backwood. And that has been my preferred apparatus when it comes to smoking weed for quite some time, especially backwoods and especially recently. Before, I would take like breaks, right? I wouldn't smoke any tobacco. I'd stop for like months at a time, right? I'd smoke backwoods for like a month and then I'd stop for 3 months. Smoke cigars and backwoods for a month, stop for 3 months. And I would try to do that, and it was good, right? I was able to get what I wanted out of the tobacco, out of the drug, and it was good, right? It's nice. I really do enjoy it, but through this time, I have built a very sneaky nicotine addiction, a sneaky one, and I say sneaky because it hasn't really. I haven't taken an extensive break from smoking weed except for recently, mainly because of money. Mainly because I can't really afford it the way I used to, where I would get like a big bag, get a half ounce, and it would last me a little while. And it was good. It made sense to do so. And now I can't really afford to do that. But when I would, a month ago, let's say, or a month and a half ago, I would pick up a thing of backwoods and I would break them all open and I'd roll blunts. I'd have blunts ready to go for the week. And then I'd still have weed left over. I'd buy a new pack of backwoods. And you don't realize it, but the way I smoke is I'll have a blunt and smoke it periodically throughout the day. So you're stopping, you're going. You're stopping, you're going. And you're just taking in. And here's the thing. We're inhaling and holding that smoke. Thick. It's thick. It feels so goddamn good. Oh, it feels so motherfucking good to take a drag off a fat backwood. Oh, yeah. And you suck it in and you feel like you're going to cough, but you don't. And you hold it and you and then you blow out just a little bit of smoke. You took a fat fucking puff and you blow out just a little bit. And you do that over and over and over again until you can't afford to buy weed. And then when you can't afford to buy weed, you're like, wait a second. Maybe I do have a weed dependency, but this nicotine dependency is very real. It is very real. Which is why you find me picking up a pack of cigarettes or picking up a pack of CBD cigarettes, something to smoke, right? Oral fixation, no nicotine in the CBD cigarettes, but nonetheless, oral fixation, nervous thing, whatever. I could smoke that. And now my new one is this delicious little puff bar. And I used to talk shit to all the kids that I used to work with at Casarino's, well, grown people too, because they would pull these things out and just fucking and then blow it. And I'm like, it smells like Fruit Loops in this motherfucker. This is delicious. And I would make fun of them because I would never hit it. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Because I know that I will get addicted like I have here with this fucking thing. But I remember being like, just get your lung cancer like a man. Get it like a man. Smoke cigars like I do. This was before ever picking up a cigarette. Mind you, I don't want to say that I smoke cigarettes. Just a side point. I don't smoke cigarettes like often. This thing is actually helping me, too. I don't crave cigarettes. Every once in a while, I like one or a couple. I buy a pack. Well, you know what I do? When I want to feel cool, when I strictly want to feel cool, I went to New York September 10th. I've talked about this show. I think I talked about this show already. Oh, the 2 shows. It was great. I did 2 shows, Broadway Comedy Club, Saturday night, 2 sold-out shows. So much fucking fun. Great audiences. So nice. So good. But before that, I was psyching myself out because I was all alone. I got there too early. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to drink. I didn't really have much money on me. I didn't want to, I didn't know what it was. But I did end up sitting at a bar and having a margarita before I went on stage. But I remember saying to myself, because I also had no weed, there was not saying to myself, but I remember performing a ritual, I guess. And anytime I go into a big set, I like to listen to music. I like to get amped up. I listen to Supersonic by Oasis. I'm feeling Supersonic. Give me gin and tonic. Oh, my God, so good. Rock and Roll Star by Oasis. I'll listen to Voodoo Child. I'll listen to oh, my goodness, Miss You by the Rolling Stones. I've been holding out so long. I've been sleeping all alone. Girl, I miss you. And I'm fucking walking down some street in New York City, and I'm smoking a cigarette because I feel cool. I want to feel on top of the world. Just like you remember Mike Tyson. You guys look up the video, Mike Tyson on intimidation, and he talks about how nervous he is. But as he gets closer and closer to the ring, he gets confident and more confident. He's got to psych himself out. And as he gets to the ring, he says, I'm a god, I'm untouchable. As soon as he's in there, he's done. That's me, but smoking cigarettes and listening to rock and gangster rap on the street, just walking. I'll light a cigarette and then you flick it right before you walk in. You put the headphones away and it's gone. You're locked in. Doesn't matter how long you are from your set. You got 30 minutes, you got an hour, doesn't matter. That's what works for me, and it locks me in. But now I have this thing. The thing that I've made lots of fun of, a thing that is incredibly addictive. I'd like to think it'll help me in some capacity when getting rid of my little nicotine itch. Because that's all this is. This is nicotine. I don't need to worry about tobacco. The tobacco aspect of it is worse than I guess you could say, the nicotine. They're both addictive. They're both addictive chemicals, but this thing is 5% nicotine. I don't know what a cigar would be. I smoked the biggest cigar I've ever smoked in my life 2 weeks ago. My buddy James, I went to his house. We were in his backyard smoking dope. He brought a cigar bigger than my cock. Okay, and I got a cock, guys. My cock, it's a third leg when I want it to be. So this thing it actually was probably about the size of my cock, and it was big. It was like full bore cock. It's a little sweaty outside, and you're getting ready to shower, and you look in the mirror, and you're like, damn, this motherfucker hanging. You know what I'm talking about? This motherfucker dang-a-lang-lang is swanging. What? What's going on? And you give yourself a little, it's like a pat on the bit. It's like a pulling out of the cookie jar, right? Good. It's like a pick-me-up. There's the word I'm looking for. A pick-me-up. Right in the morning. You're like, well, you're all groggy. You don't want to go to work. It's 5 a.m., and then you get in the bathroom, and you start the water in the shower while you take a shit. You let it go, and you're tired. Your eyes are still heavy. You're like, oh, God, I don't want to do this. And then you get up, and the shower's nice and hot, and you just quickly glance, you get naked, you quickly glance in the mirror, and you're like, whoa, who invited this motherfucker? Look at that fucking thing. And it's, and sometimes that's how it is. But anyway, the cigar was big, okay? It was a big cigar, and I don't know how much nicotine is in that, but that entire thing is nicotine, right? It's nicotine wrapped in nicotine, finished off in a nicotine aioli, okay? It's big-time nicotine, and it can't be that far off from a backwood. I'd probably say it goes cigar, cigarette, backwood, this fucking thing. This guava thing. And it is delicious, guys. I mean, it's so bad because it's attached to you. You feel, once you start hitting the thing often and you just have it with you, you don't want to put it down. And you see the way they sell it to you in the box, it says 1,500 puffs. You're like, bro, that'll last forever. And I don't know. This is my first one. I don't know when I bought it, but I've been whacking this. I don't know if I've hit 1,500. I've only had it for, I don't know, 2-3 days. And I'd like to think I've hit it over 100 times in the day, right? So maybe 15 days. And I'm thinking, because I'm already feeling how bad this is for you. Like, I'm feeling it. My throat is a little weird. Not that an individual hit off this thing is bad, because it's not. It doesn't feel like a cigar. It doesn't feel like a cigarette. You smoke a cigarette, you're like, oof, yeah, that's death. That's a little death right there. That's a couple months off your life. This thing, it's like you keep hitting it and hitting it. You don't even realize it. I was laying in bed last night, 4 a.m, hitting this fucking thing, playing on my phone, not even realizing what I was doing, right? It's just there. And it's not like a weed pen where it's like self-limiting. A weed pen, you eventually like, oof, I'm high. I got to stop hitting this thing. And you put it off to the side, and that's it. This thing, it's like bang, bang. And I remember when I first got it, you get the nicotine rush to your head, and you're like, whoa, this is nice. And then that doesn't even happen. I just smoke it because I have it. And it's like a novelty at this point. And I just wanted to share with you the breakdown of my severe nicotine addiction. One that I don't know if I'm necessarily trying to break actively, but it's kind of, going away a little bit, right? No backwoods. Now I got this thing to kind of help. Haven't smoked this. Well, I smoked that one cigar, but that was one cigar in like 3 months, where before I would do like, I don't know, I'd buy a bunch. I'd smoke them throughout the month, and or within a couple, whatever. So now I just have this thing. I have this thing, and you kids were right. Boy, oh boy, is she tasty. Wow. This thing is nice. Well, enough about me. We have some fun stuff, I think. You guys know I have been pro serial killer since the beginning. We talked about serial killing recently on the show. I've done a little thing on it before. Maybe it'll turn into a bit on stage at some point. I haven't really thought of it. But right now, I historically have been against the come down on these serial killers. They get their flowers too late, okay? They get it too late. They're long forgotten, not forgotten, but they are kind of out of the loop by the time people care about them in the way that we so uniquely do here in America. By making a Netflix series or whatever, right? And I talked about that, I think, a few episodes ago. But we wait until later on, and we could cast a hot actor, and he goes and plays an absolute murderer. Women fall in love. Netflix makes a whole bunch of money. So do the shareholders. Yippity motherfucking doodah. We got yet another generic, ran-through fucking idea about serial killer. And it's the same serial killers, right? They don't even find a new serial killer, an obscure one or whatever, some other country. They don't even do it. It's the same ones every year. And they just get their flowers. They get them too late, guys. They get them too late. But historically, California, the West Coast, has been a hotbed for murderers. And I don't understand, because everyone says, sunny California. You see the commercials like, this is California, baby. People playing golf and surfing. And that's what people think already, right? Hollywood and all this stuff. And then, of course, there's bad parts of California, totally. But in the 60s and 70s, the golden age of serial killing and cults, right? The time where those were that was the preferred way to exist. You just killed or you led people to kill. That was it. And people were gullible. They were ready to go. There wasn't as much information. They wanted to do it. And it was easier to get away with it, right? It was much easier. Now it's tough. So to get somebody that's still doing it, right? And doing it right, guys. This man, there's a serial killer on the loose. I don't know if he's still on the loose by the time this comes out, but in California, it's nostalgic, guys. California police allege that 7 attacks in a little over a year were committed by a single serial killer. A man was killed in Oakland, and a woman survived a shooting in nearby Stockton in April 2021. Since July 2022, 5 more people were killed in Stockton. We do believe, this is the police chief, we do believe we have a potential serial killer. He said forensics and crime scene footage link All the attacks to the same gun. Police are seeking a person of interest and offering a $125,000 reward for public information. Most victims are middle-aged Hispanic men, and the killer operates at night or in the early morning. So he gets after it. He doesn't care what time it is. He's going to go out and kill. Okay? That's determination. That's dedication. This guy is bringing it back. It's just like when you hear a modern jazz player, right? You hear a modern jazz band or a jazz player, and you're like, this sounds really good. Or you listen to like Greta Van Fleet, and you're like, wow, this is like hard rock. This is modern hard rock, and it sounds so similar to the old stuff. And it's so good. It's so good. All that art, when someone does something that's older and they do it now, a lot. Just like I said, guys, I've said this a bunch of times. Pablo Picasso, great artist, good artist copy, great artist steal. The best people are the ones who are mimicking the best. They're just mimicking each other. That's all it is. And then you got, especially in music, especially in rock music or hip hop, where they're sampling other people's music or they're doing covers. It always is. It's always a good flavor. It's always a good flavor. Now, California, as of recent, has really taken a hit, just in general, right? The two biggest places in the country, New York City and California, are recently getting overrun by, I guess, lack of a better term, extreme liberals, okay? I don't care about anybody. I don't care what you do, what you think. I think I'm more on the liberal side of things, socially liberal. I don't really care about money, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I believe people should do whatever the fuck they want, personal freedoms, the whole thing, right? I think a police force is stupid. I think all these things. But I also think people are stupid, right? I don't think that getting rid of a police force is smart. My thinking is like, you'd hope that we reach some stage of enlightenment where killing each other is bad and we don't do it and we don't need to worry about policing people for it, because that's really the only thing. Violent crimes is really the only thing you need police for. Violent, awful crimes or destruction of people's property, right? People doing drugs, people whatever, right? There's a lot of parking like that's just stupid. That's just stupid shit that the local fucking municipality is just trying to make money off of. Parking tickets and cameras and speeding zones and school zones and all this nonsense, right? That's just absolute horseshit. You don't need me to tell you that. There's never a time where you walk to your car, or you walk, not even your car, you walk past another car that has a ticket on it. And you go, thank God a police officer is walking around doing that. Thank God we got a meter maid walking. I love that. I love that we call him a meter maid, because it is such a bullshit fucking job. It is one of the lowest levels of career fulfillment or career opportunity, whatever the fuck you want to. It is one of the lowest careers on the planet. I would rather hang out with a housekeeper. I'd rather be a housekeeper or a janitor, or a garbage man, or something equally as bad, okay, than be a meter maid, because all you do is ruin people's day. It's literally all you do. That is one of the jobs where all you fucking do is walk around like a nerd. You're a nerd. You're a nerd. If you're a meter maid, you're a nerd. If you know anyone that's a meter maid, slap them across the face, call them a nerd, give them a wedgie, and throw them in a fucking locker somewhere. Okay? Because you're a nerd. You're a fucking hall monitor. That's all you are. All you do is walk around. You look at people who either live in the area, they got nowhere else to park, or they work in the area. It's a busy place. The only places you get parking tickets is where there's things going on. There's a city, right? And there's places you can park and places you can't park. So you got to watch out, because there's loading zones and there's times in the day. Now you got to watch out. Am I going to get out? Oh no, it's after 6 o'clock, so I should be good, right? Or you don't know, you're new to the area, you got to find a sign, or you end up paying for a fucking spot and you don't need to. And now you have a person whose job it is. This is their job, Might even be a state job. I might be wrong about that, but it might even be a state job to be a meter maid. And all you do is walk around with your big fat stomach that's tucked into your pants, right? Your bull dyke haircut, walking around angry at life, and you're just you know you're mad because you know what you're doing is an absolute meaningless task. It is meaningless. At least a garbage man is helping us. At least he's picking up the fucking trash, okay? He's getting the trash off the streets, and he's doing a job, okay? A housekeeper, helping, right? There's jobs that people don't want, but we need them, right? People don't want to do them, but we need them. People who make our coffees, right? We need them. We don't need meter maids. We don't need some old fucking retired prick walking around on a power trip that sees a college kid's car that's probably only going to be there for an hour and a half or maybe a few hours because they got to work a shift at some fucking dumpy bar, seating tables, and then, they're already making no money. They're in college, and they go out, and there's a fucking orange ticket on their car for $25 for parking in an open spot. Just understand that you are amongst the lowest forms of human fucking waste. Not humans, but human waste, okay? There's like homeless people, there's heroin addicts, there's bad fathers, and then there's fucking meter maids at the bottom. You scrape the bottom. You have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. You have to rip the bottom of the barrel out to get where meter maids are. And I love that name because it sounds so fucking stupid. It's like in Paul Blart when he says, security officer, not security guard. Meter maid. You're a fucking meter maid. Your job is so fucking pointless that if you died today, if your entire department all got syphilis and died, you all just died, no one would miss you. No one would care. People would throw a party if everyone in a town that knows that you can't park in certain areas and it's fucking frustrating, if everybody in that town found out that the entire meter maid fucking entity, right? The entire meter maid group of fucking employees, right? The union, whatever the fuck it's called. If they all got food poisoning and were in comas, people would throw a party. People would talk about that. It'd be on the front page of the local paper. Whoa, meter maid's Christmas party, tainted food. Everybody's in a extended coma. Park wherever you'd like. There'd be testimonials. Thank God I could finally park somewhere. Every morning I come out, I work my job, I come out at the middle of the day to go for a walk on my break, smoke a cigarette, read a book, whatever, and I walk to my car and there's a $35 ticket every single day and I never get to, and now thank God those meter maids are dying in a hospital. Thank God. So I don't know how I got on this, but I'm happy I got on this because I haven't really been, I almost forgot how stupid it is. How fucking dumb you are. You're so dumb. You can't get a job. You can't get a better job than that. You can't. You know what a better job than that is? Working at McDonald's. Working at McDonald's. People look at working at fast food. They're like, oh my God, I could never do it. It looks so terrible. It's such a high volume and stress. If you work at McDonald's, I respect you more than a meter maid. I would wipe my ass with the face of a meter maid. And I think I'm drawing all of this from this one particular meter maid in Providence, Rhode Island. Now, I'm saying all this because I am plagued by these people, okay? I have parking tickets that haven't been paid. I'm worried that if I park in Providence for too long, I might get a boot. I might get towed. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm nervous about it. I'm very much nervous about it because I have same thing with red light tickets and fucking school zone tickets. School's not even in session and you're taking my fucking picture, you fucking bureaucratic leeches. Find another way to use. How about you don't line your pockets with so much fucking money so that we can do whatever the fuck we want. It's so funny when they put, because in Providence, I remember when they first started putting these things in school zones, the cameras, and people were getting upset. Oh, come on, you know. And the governor, who was a cunt at the time, forgive me for saying that, but it was Gina Raimondo, and I don't care about who's the governor. They're all cunts to me. All those people that work in that big fucking mausoleum, that marble mausoleum we have in Providence. It's just like anywhere else, town hall, city hall, whatever the fuck. They're all just these old buildings filled with the blood of innocent citizens, filled with the hard-earned cash of innocent citizens. And she came on and said, we need to protect our children. Really? You know that a guy like me will never, ever believe that, okay? Will never, ever believe that. It's just, it goes right past me. And some people will say, well, yes, we should be slowing down. Yes, we should be slowing down. But that's not what they're thinking. They just want to make money. That's all. The same thing with tolls. Another mindless, brainless fucking job. It's not as bad because you're not like actively enforcing something. Like you are, but you're not, right? It's not as bad. It's like you pay the toll, you drive through. You can't be too mad at that person. But you can be mad at a fucking meter maid. And there was a woman that worked on Federal Hill, and if you're listening to this and you know who the fuck she is, tell her who I am and tell her I want rounds. I want a head kicker. I want to kick her in her fucking head because she is a bitch. A bitch, guys. And I'm very respectful to women, okay? I most of the time, okay? When I call a woman a bitch, I don't actually mean it. I'm being funny. But with this lady, she's a bitch. Real deal. Knows my car. I'd put a sign saying that I work at Casarino's. Anytime you spoke to her, she was just in a bad mood. Even if you said hi, even if you whatever, you said anything, she was just angry at you. She was in a bad goddamn mood. And that's, and I think that some of this rage is coming from this woman because I would come out from a shift. A lot of the times, this would happen when I would work in the daytime, so I wasn't making a lot of money. I'd come out with $50 maybe, and then I go back to my car and I got a $25 ticket. I got to pay. I'm paying you to work. And I would say, fuck you, and I just throw him in the garbage, throw him on the ground. I hope she saw it. I hope she fucking saw it, that fucking bitch. Anyway, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean for this. This all got completely blown out of proportion. But the point of this part of the episode is to understand that meter maids are the scum of the fucking earth, and I wouldn't mind if they all died or got new jobs. That's it. But there's a serial killer in California. There's a serial killer in California, and he's still out there doing it. He's out there doing it. I don't know if they've got him yet. I don't know. I mean, you have to really like killing. You have to really enjoy killing to go through the stress of finding 7 people in a year or whatever the fuck it said, 6 months, however long it was, and just kill them. Kill them in a similar pattern, right? And just keep it going for a period of time. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of this past weekend. On Friday, there was a man. I was with a lady friend at the house who's from here, and she gets news reports on her phone. And there was a man who robbed like 6 convenience stores from one part of Connecticut to another part of Connecticut. And it was like 6 convenience stores in like 3 or 4 different towns, Norwich and whoever, a bunch of dumpy fucking garbage places, just like everyone else. And I hope that I hope he did well. Okay, I hope he got some shit from these people. I hope he made their day. Okay, because like I said, here in Connecticut, there's nothing but death, despair, sadness, and destruction. Everyone is just driving on a highway all the time because they don't know how to make towns over here. They don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to do anything. Every town is built like dog shit. But anyway, this guy, what's going on here? Sorry, I'm getting texts. And this guy was just going all over the place, going everywhere, right? He hit like a bunch of places, and she was telling me, she's like, he hasn't hit New London yet. And there are all these places around New London. And I'm like, well, it's a matter of time. It's only a matter, and he might have hit New London. Because there's always cars screeching and shit. Maybe maybe one of the ones we heard was him. You know, maybe that was it. And supposedly, right down the street from me, literally a walk. Like, I'm talking about a fucking half a second walk down the street. There's this place called Wings and Pies. A pizza place, very subpar. But I eat it, right? It's good. It's fine. It's what you look for when you get pizza. You know, bullshit. And supposedly that place got robbed too. A guy went in there and held him at gunpoint and wanted stuff. I don't know what the girl I was with told me he robbed them for food. I guess that makes sense. But if you got a gun, you might as well get both, right? You might as well get food and money. But that's kind of a similar thing. It's like any kind of serial crime that someone does. You're just like you're like testing your luck, right? You're like Tom Brady. That same drive that a professional athlete or a person that's really good at their job, really enjoys their profession, that same drive that gets that person to get up and put in the work, often hit the grindstone, get after it. Come on, get to it. It's the same thing. Is it not the same thing? Is there not a sense of discipline and motivation that comes with driving across multiple towns in Connecticut and holding up convenience stores and taking whatever the fuck that guy's taking? That guy is on a mission. I don't know what his mission is. Maybe he's trying to get drugs. Maybe he's actually in a bad spot. Maybe he's done this a bunch. Maybe he's from somewhere else. Maybe he's hitting New England, or he's hitting a bunch of places, and he's hit 8 places in Maine, and then he went to New Hampshire and hit a bunch there, and now he just happens to be in. People can't get him, and he literally makes a living this way. He could be making a living this way, you know? Crime is a business. Crime is a business on both ends, for the criminal and for the police. Obviously, the police have the advantage, but if you can find a way to make a living off of what you love, it'll be like you never worked a day in your life. And maybe that's what this guy's doing. Now, I speak a lot about these governing bodies, right? I speak a lot about the FDA. I talk a lot about hypocrisy in general. That's a lot of what happens on this show. I try to be as truthful and as honest and as blatant, just like I am on stage. I'm dark and I'm filthy about these things because that's what it is, okay? That's the art that I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to the Bukowskis and the Hunter S. Thompsons and the, Tool, the band. Sorry, that sounds so novice. Tool, the band? No, but the band, Tool, whatever. DMX, fucking Bill Hicks, George. This is the art that I enjoy. These are the minds that I enjoy. Tim Dillon. These are the people who, when I hear things, I'm like, that's real. That's real, you know? And I obviously have a great contempt for certain aspects of life, right? And I very rarely pat governments on the back. I very rarely, and I might not even do it here. It might end up being a backhanded compliment here. But whatever the system is, I always try to just to find a chink in its armor. That's it. Isn't it funny that you could say that word when we're talking about in that sentence? Found a chink in his armor. You can't say, if you were in China somewhere and they were doing a Renaissance fair, you wouldn't be able to say that, right? It would be a lot worse. But when you're talking about an entity or even a person, right? Mike Tyson said it in that same video I was telling you about determination or whatever the fuck, motivation. I'm looking at him. I'm staring at him. I'm looking in the eye. I'm looking for him to look away. And then I see a little chink in his armor, and boom, I got him. Right? You could say that word. But anyway, I'm always ready to talk about that shit. And it's not always great. And before I tell you what I'm talking about, I got to tell you guys one of the funniest fucking... I did a show last Friday, at a place called the Bean Barn. Okay, it was actually a nice venue, nice little place. It was like a cafe that was open till 10. They served booze and food, but you could get a coffee. And they had a stage, and it was really interesting because I've always thought a late night coffee spot is a great idea. Why don't they have more of those? Like, why don't they have more? Just like, New York, they have diners that are 24 hours. Why aren't there like little coffee spots? I always thought that shit was interesting. And then all night, they can just have local artists do stupid shit. Open mics, poetry slams, whatever. Nonsense, Writing workshops. Stupid, weird shit like that. And this place was actually really nice. The Bean Barn in Warwick, Rhode Island. Or Coventry, I'm sorry. Coventry, Warwick, it's like this on the line. Warwick's a dump, okay? Coventry's not that much better. But this place was nice. I was impressed. But the audience was a bunch of townies, a bunch of old retiree townies that saw that there was a $10 comedy show, and they paid the money, and they came in, and there were like 7 of us. We all did 10 minutes, nice hour-and-a-half show, something like that, a little less. And I went up there, and I didn't pander. I wasn't going to. I don't have material that's dumbed down enough. I try to write it. I have dumb parts to my bits, easy, low-hanging fruit. But I don't pander. Anytime I hear comics, professional comics now, when I listen to podcasts and shit like that, they're like, a lot of them are like, do the bit that you wrote, do the shit that you find funny, because you're going to communicate it funnier than if it was something that you're doing just to get laughs. Something stupid, something easy, something dumb. Which is funny, don't get me wrong. Like, dumb shit is funny. I'm not saying dumb in like a negative way. Maybe I should say simpler comedy, where for me, I get dark and I get dirty, right? Like, that's what I like. I like to do that, and it's a little nerve-wracking because there is such thing as clean comedy, and you want to perform bookable comedy, and yada, yada, yada. There's an audience for everything. That's the way I look at it. But this particular audience was not there for me, okay? If there's one thing that old retiree townies probably don't resonate with, is an angsty 25-year-old that wants to talk about awful, fucking horrendous things. Just brutality, okay? I went up there and delivered brutality. I was in fucking Timberland boots and black cargo pants and a black thermal. I looked like a fucking, I don't know, a guy that just came back from a war or something. I don't know. I look like a whatever, right? I love that outfit. It looks good. But I went up there, and the comics before me, they were all, they were a little edgy, right? Some of them, there was a completely clean, it went like this, okay? The host started off with shit jokes and asshole jokes, and that to me is okay, but you get too much into it. I don't love the shit jokes. It's not my thing. I love taking shits. Oh, boy. One of the best things in my life is when I could take a shit. In fact, I've been eating too much peanut butter, so it's been tough to shit, and it's been sad. I don't love it. But anyway, he started off with that, so I'm like, okay, we can get a little dirty. All right. It doesn't get dirtier than shit jokes. And then after that, we had an absolutely clean, squeaky clean woman, very funny. Then we had another gentleman named Derek Fonseca. He's hilarious. He looks like he's been doing it for a very long time, very loose up there. And his material was very good, clean, mostly. He could work clean, for sure. But it's stuff that was very funny, but nothing too controversial, right? Funny stuff. And this is the thing, guys. People get wrapped up in comics calling out people and calling out hypocrisies and all this nonsense. Number one job of a comedian is to be funny, okay? If you're being funny, then that's what matters. Whatever your brand of funny is, then that's what you roll with. So long story short, there's people doing local jokes, there's people doing, there was a frat kid, and then there was the guy who was running the show, Johnny Rotten, who I went on right after him. And Johnny does some dirty stuff. It doesn't get too dark, but he does dirty stuff. So I was happy to go after him. I was happy to follow him, hoping that what he said would be a little worse than what I was going to say. And that's very rare. That doesn't happen very often. And I went up there, guys, and I did these jokes that are, they usually do well, right? In a comedy club or in a certain setting with a certain audience. And there was moments where I think that night I did 10 minutes, and I probably got more oohs than I did laughs. Or like, just people with absolute disgusted faces on them. So there's the bit that I do about shooting your dog. I go, the whole bit is called Sad Sights, and I talk about a bunch of things, you know, a dusty vacuum, a grown man on a skateboard, and then I say walking your dog in a stroller. And I go, he doesn't like to walk, and people start giggling, and then I bend over real low, and I look people in the eyes, and I go, shoot him, and that usually gets a big laugh. But this, I usually close with this bit. So it's toward the end, and there was a woman over in the corner of the place. This older blonde lady, a woman that we've all seen before. That older one is a couple. Older woman, blonde hair, all done up, went out, nice little sexy dress. She's like 62. Her husband's like 65. He's still in some kind of shape, right? He's real tan. He wears a button up all the time with jeans and like black cockroach killers. And he wears like a chain, and the top 3 buttons are open. And he fucking, they're there, and they're hanging out. And I go, shoot him! And most of the crowd's laughing. This was like a good, this last bit was doing well. It was doing well. It was going to close well, I thought. And people are laughing. And at the end of it, you hear this woman go, oh! Just absolutely disgusted, just so upset. I saw a woman put her face in her hands at one point, just like, oh my God, what did we pay for? Who the fuck is this animal? And it was hilarious. It was one of the funniest nights, one of the best nights of comedy for me. And I didn't get laughs. I really didn't get great laughs. I bombed, more or less. I had good pockets, but I bombed pretty goddamn good. And that's what happens with the material I do. Sometimes it'll hit, sometimes it'll miss. But when it hits big. And when it misses big. So that's the game I play. I don't give a fuck. I go for knockouts. But I went all the way on this whatever the fuck, because I do want to pat the U.S. government on the back, finally. Okay? I've probably done it before, and actually mean it. Okay? Actually mean it. Because President Biden is pardoning people convicted on U.S. federal marijuana possession charges. Okay, let's read the whole thing. A pardon is an executive power. That doesn't matter. A pardon applies to 6.5 thousand Americans convicted in federal court of possession charges from 1992 to 2021, as well as thousands more convicted in Washington, D.C. President Biden urged state governors to follow suit. Okay, so what about the people before 92? What about when you could get life for weed? Right? See, I knew I couldn't just... But this is a good step. This is a good step because you can't be worried, and this is a point that Joe Rogan's been making. You can't be worried about Brittany Griner being locked up in another country where weed is vehemently illegal. Okay? It's militantly policed against. Weed is bad in Russia. And she's smoking a pen, whether it's CBD or whatever, and she's locked up and people want to cry about it. When here, weed is legal in a ton of states, decriminalized and even more. Weed is literally come such a long way, such an incredibly long way, and it's a business now. Think about the minorities that are in jail still before 1992, 1990, 2 years before, selling weed. And they're locked up for years and years and years. And they come out, and next to the prison is a store that you can go in and buy state-regulated weed. Are you kidding me? You're going to keep these people in jail? It's about time they did this. Let them all go. Let every single one go. Trafficking, okay, you want to keep the guys that are moving kilos and whatever, the ones that aren't on your payroll, right? keep them in jail if you want, all right? Keep them in jail as a novelty. But the nickel and dimers, the people that Kamala put away, the crackdown on the weed, I mean, let them all out. Let them all out. I mean, what the fuck? There's stores. This is the thing. It's an industry now. It's like if they banned coffee in like the 1900s. The early 1900s, coffee's banned. It's illegal. Anybody that's got coffee, selling coffee, growing coffee, you're going to jail forever. Maybe you'll even get the death penalty because it's even older. It's the barbaric times, 1900s. You're done. And then fucking 50 years later, there's Starbucks, there's Dunkin' Donuts, there's complete entities, enterprises, selling coffee. It's expensive coffee, high-end coffee. Coffee that you can only get there. Coffee that has a brand name on it that people are going to want to go to. There's brands. You get it? Do you not get what I'm saying? When people got locked up for weed, there weren't brands of weed. There were names, there were types, but there weren't brands. Now there's brands. Cookies, for one. All Nova Farms in Massachusetts, they have the Southie Adams blunts. There's all these brands. You just have, and now there's people in jail still for fucking, who knows, an eighth, a quarter, a pound? Who gives a fuck? It's disgusting. But I have to commend, this is the best thing that they've done. This is the best. This is better than student loan forgiveness. It really is. It really is. I mean, they're both forms of helping free people a little bit. And I know that they're kind of going back on these student loan things. There's more technicalities. They got to fuck you. They figured out they were giving you a little too much. They got to fuck you again, which will probably happen with this, right? These people will be on house arrest and, they'll be in the system and the parole and the whole thing. Not only should they let every possession offender free, they should wipe their shit clean. Wipe it as long as there's nothing else, right? If there's other shit, fine, whatever. But if all they did was get caught with an eighth of weed and you put them in jail for 15 years back in 1985, and now it's 2000, okay? You fucking, it's terrible, okay? It's a fucking, wipe the whole thing. Wipe it all off. That guy should be able to get a job. He should be able to go do whatever the fuck he wants because he was in jail for nothing. For nothing. That's what it is, guys. So I will, I can say good job. I can say good job to our government for finally doing something rational. And good job to this cabinet for doing something rational. Okay? Good on them because it doesn't happen often. And I feel like I should make a joke about it, and I have here and there, but the overarching fucking premise of this segment of the podcast is just good. Like, it's a good thing. I'm happy. I'm happy they did this. I'm happy they did it. And they should do it with all drugs. Still, that's what I believe. All drugs. All drugs should be legal. You shouldn't be getting locked up for it's personal freedom. Okay? It's personal freedoms. Just because I'm not hooked on your shit, right? Just because I'm not hooked on your shit, I got my own shit, you want to lock me up. It's because you want to cut in on the action. Even though you have a cut in on the action, big old government, how does the heroin get into the towns? How does the cocaine and the fentanyl, how does it get into the inner cities? It's not magic. Cocaine is grown in Colombia, heroin in Vietnam, Afghanistan, opium in the Middle East. Okay? How does that get here? How's that getting here? Must be magic. Must be magic. So they're already getting a piece of the action, They're getting a little slice already. So if you're already giving them to us, then let us... what the fuck? Oregon's got the right idea, man. Or Portland specifically, whatever. They got the right fucking idea. They got it. It's the right thing to do. Drugs should have never been illegal in the first place. If you're going to sell them in any capacity in a store, if you can buy drugs in a store, any kind, alcohol, tobacco, fucking these nicotine sticks, okay? The food we eat is poisonous. The over-the-counter drugs, the prescription drugs, you could get them in stores. So why are some legal and some aren't? It's the age-old question, guys. It's stupid. And if you can get shit in a store, it should be legal across the way. Right? It should be legal across the way. Nobody's cracking down on yard sales. Okay? Yard sales have the same shit that a store would have, right? The person bought that lawn chair at a store, now they're selling it on their own. Nobody's coming in. Or what if you build your own shit? Right? What if you built your own lawn chair and you sold it? No crime against that. It's dumb. Okay, it's dumb. I get lawn chairs don't harm people, but whatever. People harm people. They make their own fucking choices. It's stupid. It's stupid to say that someone can't do this or can't do that when it's readily available. It's readily available. It's like dangling a fucking carrot over a rabbit and then pulling it away just as it's about to get its teeth. Or give it to the fucking thing and then lock it in a cage. That's what you're doing, right? That's what you're doing. There's heroin everywhere. You like doing heroin. You can get heroin. It's easy. Once they find you, now you're locked in a cage. How'd you get the heroin? It was their fault in the first place. So, anyway, guys, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for playing along. I think we've covered a lot of good ground here today. I'm trying to get a resurgence in this podcast. It's been a little tougher to do. I feel like I'm on an upward trajectory just in life. I'm feeling a lot better because I know you all care. But if you're listening, if you've gotten to this point in the show, if you listen to the end, if you get to the end of my show, then, maybe you care in some capacity. And I thank you for listening always. You guys know that. One day there will be more of you. One day, that's what we're hoping for. But enough of that bullshit. Dates. We got dates. This Friday, I'm supposed to be at Stand Up New York, 10 p.m. show. October 23rd, we're doing the Comedy Connection in Providence, early show, 7:30, I think. Need people to show up for both of those. And then November 17th, we're doing Revival Brewing in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. That's going to be a lot of fun. Shout out my man Wole, throwing me on there. Very exciting. And that's it, guys. Thanks for playing along. Peace. Oh, me again. Follow the show. Subscribe on the YouTube. Buy me a coffee. Use the links. Bye-bye.